Hey, welcome. In today's video, we'll be covering another hero, and this hero obviously is called the Golden Guardian. And it was interesting because I was looking at this hero and I was just like, as I was looking at this particular doodle, and please excuse the crudeness of it. But I was just like, where did I get the inspiration for this hero? He looks very much similar to some of these other heroes, and it came to me that it was the New Gods, Jack Kirby's 1970-ish comic book that he did for DC. And I was asking myself, like, because as you've noticed with a lot of these doodles, a lot of them have kind of this Jack Kirby-esque style going on. Obviously that's a Jack Kirby arm and shading and stuff like that. And I was kind of going through a Jack Kirby kick just because I really admired the man. Whether you hate him or like him, or whether you like his work or not, I enjoy it. But I'm not blind to the mistakes or the crudeness of his drawings and his style and stuff. His earlier stuff, like his Fantastic Four and Thor and stuff like that, had better anatomy and stuff. But as you got kind of into the '70s, he really went into this style that you can see that I'm trying to copy. But but anyway, I really admired the old days, or the golden, well, not the golden age of comics, but the silver age of comics, where these artists like Jack Kirby and John Romita Sr. and Steve Ditko really could draw action scenes. And that's one of the biggest complaints that I've got with at least comic books here in the United States, is it's like they're all trying to just win their Pulitzer Prize, but that's for like journalism or whatever, but just they're trying to win awards with these comic book dramas. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, there's no action in it. It's just literally like every panel on a comic book is just talking heads. And it's just like, if all I had to do was draw heads in comic books, maybe I'll draw comic books. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but that's kind of just a little bit of a reasoning of, I've been really, with a lot of these doodles, incorporating Jack Kirby. And this particular hero design was very reminiscent of kind of the New Gods aesthetic that he had for these comics. So, but let's get into the Golden Guardian. So once again, here's the doodle I did many years ago. So let's get into the new restylized. So as you can see, with him, the character design didn't really change much. I really enjoyed the aesthetic and the design that I had with the original doodles. So yeah, with this one, I did tweak the pose a little bit, kind of giving him more of a flying at you pose. So yeah, and playing with a little bit of perspective and stuff here. But yeah, with this particular character design, I kept pretty close to the original. I tweaked, obviously with the original doodle, it was just black ink on a yellow or green post-it note. So not a whole lot of color in the design. But with this one, I took the liberty of adding a little more color to the overall design here. So but yeah, with this one, I was just kind of playing. And to be honest, as I was looking through a bunch of my old doodles and sketches that I did years ago, I had actually redrawn this guy. And so one of one of the only things that I changed with his character design is, in the original design, he had kind of a sash that went across his chest and shoulder. And instead I went with kind of I gave him, I don't want to call it a loincloth, but kind of a piece of cloth on both the front and the back that comes from the belt, and instead of doing the quintessential sash across. And so just to kind of add a little more, I don't know, the sash was an interesting idea, but I was like, in a fighting scenario, I don't know how well that would stick around. So but as you can see, this is adding color to this hero really kind of brings out his characteristics and stuff that I really enjoyed when designing him. So I like the idea of a blonde, just kind of the blonde, very, because I mean golden. And I was just like, yeah, we'll go all out when it comes to the whole idea of golden. So Um, yeah, golden hair, golden armor, all that kind of stuff. So the other thing that's very interesting is, like, a lot of people when they draw gold, they go, very heavy with the yellows and the whites. And I mean, there are different hues of gold, but when I was doing my research, I'm like, gold is actually closer to an orange color, and that was a very interesting thing that I had to take into consideration when I was kind of coloring this heroes. Is like, what does gold actually look like? And in your mind, you kind of have this what's the word I want to use here? Just like a perception of what gold really is, and you always think like, oh well, it's yellow, and to some degree, yes, it is, but it's actually closer to an orange, a yellow orange kind of a thing, and so that was an interesting thing. Just a little tidbit when drawing this hero. So, but yeah, anywho, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Golden Guardian. So here's the final illustration for that hero. So let's go ahead and get into his background and powers and abilities. So the Golden Guardian. The Titan database has very little information on this galactic defender. What information it does contain comes from shared knowledge of Earth's resident galactic guardian, the Cosmic Cadet. On rare occasions, this guardian has visited Earth to aid in defending life. One such event occurred during the late Roman Empire when he helped defeat a demon summoned from the Middle East. The inhabitants of Earth at the time believed it to be the god Apollo, but we now know it was this defender from the far side of the galaxy. Cosmic Cadet mentioned that his real name is Valiv, and that he has a brother named Vor, also known as the Gloved Guardian. Both come from a planet located nearly 100,000 light years away on the opposite side of the Milky Way galaxy. One important note is that their race was among the founding members of the Galactic Guardians. So that's just a little bit of background. Again, from Earth's perspective, they have very little information about these heroes, and due to the fact that they are Galactic Guardians, but they patrol a sector of space that doesn't really coincide with Earth very much. So yeah, his real name is Valiv, and then yeah, he's little over, he's 6'6", and he weighs about 215 pounds. And his powers, the Golden Guardian comes from a race of humanoids who have evolved to the point where their physical form is almost entirely governed by their spiritual essence. Through the mastery of body and spirit, they have gained abilities such as super strength, durability, flight, and extreme speed, allowing them to traverse the far reaches of the galaxy with relative ease. Not much is known about their full extent of abilities, but Cosmic Cadet reported witnessing the Golden Guardian single-handedly defeat a tectonic titan, which places his power level among the highest recorded. So they are, or at least I will say, the Golden Guardian is a very, very strong superhero. So, and as we can see, obviously, he's got some decent ratings when it comes to his strength and durability. Obviously, speed is high up there, allowing him to, once again, like I said, traverse the vast reaches of space in relative ease. Stamina is relatively good. He doesn't have really anything in the way of energy projection, though. They're mostly dealing with just super strength and durability and flight. And, due to the fact that they are a higher advanced race of aliens, I guess you could say, their intelligence is a little bit or considerably above what a natural human being would be. So, but anyway, so yeah, that is the Golden Guardian. And we will cover actually his brother in tomorrow's video. So be sure you stay tuned.